That was refreshing. I think I'm ready to go on now. So where were we? Oh, right. Kurdran strolled beside Skyri past rows of apartments and merchant shops at the outer ring of the city, where the sound of hammers striking anvil from the great forge was only a faint echo. The cloud of age was thick in the griffin's eyes, and the slowness of her gait was painfully obvious. Much to Kurdran's chagrin, though, Skyri seemed to enjoy exploring every nook and cranny of Ironforge. More than anything, Kurdran longed to escape Ironforge and fly with Skyri, but a simple walk was all that the griffin could muster. The walks were usually a welcome distraction, but today his mind was racing with thoughts concerning Mortimer's hammer. After Kurdran had stormed out of the council meeting the day prior, Moira and Muradin had chosen the Dark Iron Smith to reforge the hammer. The decision made Kurdran's blood boil, although in retrospect he had only himself to blame for not being present to argue against the choice. His dislike for the Dark Iron clan ran deep. Betrayal and treachery seemed as ingrained in the Dark Iron's culture as Griffins were in that of the Wildhammers. Sadly, sacrificing his scepter had done nothing to abate the tension in Ironforge. As Kurdran walked, he felt the spiteful stares of passers-by gawking at his tawny weathered skin, his fiery red ponytail, and his tattoos. Kurdran knew that the glares went much deeper than just at his outward appearance. Ironforge was a clash of cultures, each one holding itself superior. The Wildhammers preferred living on the surface and soaring in the skies of the northern lands with their beloved griffins. The Bronzebeards preferred to dwell in the mountain, as they always had, and the Dark Irons lived even deeper in the shadows. A steel-plated shoulder rammed into Kurdran's side, jolting him away from his thoughts. He turned to see two Dark Irons carrying a large keg. The dwarf who'd bumped into him glared at Kurdran with the glowing eyes common among the Dark Irons. They reminded Kurdran of the demonic eyes he had seen on Outland. The Dark Iron grunted, and then he and his partner continued on their way. They were followed by a line of their clansmen, divided into pairs, each carrying a keg. A strong odor wafted from the containers, which Kurdran recognized as the smell of spirits brewed by the Dark Irons. The concoction wasn't like the ale he enjoyed. It was the type of drink that numbed the senses and made one forget after consuming only a glass. Kurdran had seen groups of Dark Irons carrying kegs of the stuff throughout the city numerous times, apparently looking for something more potent than what Ironforge had to offer. "Kurdran," someone unseen said as the last of the keg-bearing Dark Irons passed. The voice was unmistakable, calm and regal in a practiced way. Kurdran turned to see Moira approaching. Alongside her was a stout Dark Iron dwarf named Drukan, whom he had observed accompanying Moira on many occasions. "Taking noble Skyri for a stroll, I see," she said with a polite smile. Kurdran searched Moira's face for some sign that would belie her cordiality. He suspected that she and the Dark Irons were in some fashion responsible for the rumours circulating about the Wildhammer clan. It had after all been due to her aggressive actions that the Council of Three Hammers had been formed in the first place. After Magni's accident, she had held the city hostage with armed Dark Irons and had claimed the throne. The decision to reforge Mortimer's hammer had also come at her behest. Yet time and again Moira had proven to be Kurdran's greatest ally in Ironforge. When complaints, in most cases unfounded, had been made about the Wildhammers, blaming them for food and housing shortages and the overcrowded griffin roost, she had defended his clan, but her apparent benevolence gave Kurdran no satisfaction. "She needed to get away from the heat," Kurdran said, as he patted Skyri's leonine hindquarters. Moira stepped close to Skyri and raised her hand to the griffin's beak. "A magnificent creature. How is her condition?" "Improving," Kurdran lied, not wanting to discuss the matter with Moira any more than necessary. He was surprised that Skyri had been able to rise from her nest today. "I have a feeling she'll be as good as new in no time," Moira said. She stroked Skyri's mane, and the griffin lowered her head, cooing softly. Kurdran had always known Skyri to be a good judge of character. The fact that she regarded Moira with such favour filled him with doubt about his suspicions concerning the Dark Iron leader. Moira glanced at Drukan, who stood farther back with a dour look on his face. "Come, Drukan. Skyri's a legend. She's faced dragons before. Didn't you know that?" I do not trust a beast that has a taste for dwarven blood, Druken said, sneering. Moira's eyes grew wide in shock, and she stifled a laugh. Don't be ridiculous. That's what they say about the Wildhammer lands, Druken said. They feed their prisoners to the griffins. And Skyri here, well, the story goes she's had more than her fill. Kurdran felt his body flush with heat, and he took a step toward Druken. Watch your tongue, lad. You know how these absurd rumours have been spreading, Moira said, placing a hand on Kurdran's armoured shoulder. Druken is, how should I say it, still learning the finer points of civility. She turned to Druken, and her tone was malevolent. Apologize! But your highness, now! She glared at Druken with a cold gaze that spoke more than words. Begging your apologies, Druken said to Kurdran through clenched teeth. Well, I don't mean to trouble you and Skyri, Moira said, her tone cordial once again. I merely wanted to say that your decision yesterday was one of great humility, something I've come to expect after hearing of your heroics in Outland. Reforging the hammer will bring unity, and it will be due to your decision that this unity comes to be. I'm not one of the dwarves out there who can't think for themselves, Kurdran said harshly. What's done is done. The Ironforge heiress simply smiled. Of course. I leave you and mighty Skyri to your walk. He watched Moira and Druken as they went on their way, his moment of peace with Skyri sullied by the interaction. He wanted Moira to be the enemy. That, at least, would make the confusion in Ironforge understandable. Yet Kurdran felt with growing unease that he was searching for a reason in a city that had abandoned any semblance of it. Let's get back to the roost, lass, Kurdran said, and he tugged on Skyri's wing.